Lovely. So first of all, before we start any of these sessions, let me just kick off with the main slide and the agenda for today. So our mission here at LinkedIn for Breakfast is to create a place where we can all come together and discuss a little slice of LinkedIn. Today's LinkedIn subject is around LinkedIn analytics. So the game plan is for me to demonstrate which analytics should you be looking at, why are they important, and actually what can we be doing to be able to move those analytics. So a little bit of data around that. Our mission, in case anybody hasn't been to one of these before, our mission is to make this a great place where we can help entrepreneurs to unlock the full potential of LinkedIn, both as a powerhouse for your business development, so that's the kind of getting your phone ringing and inbox pinging with inquiries, and also for brand expansion. So that's trying to get more people to recognize you online. Our vision is to make this the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free. And so hopefully that usually is the case if I can get signal. And we have a cool community that helps to facilitate this. So if you're not part of LinkedIn for Breakfast school group, please do jump in there. There's 4.2 thousand members in there. It's a really good place to network, to understand what's going on in or what's happening in LinkedIn. We have a pod that we have people who are using that pod to be able to get their posts seen and go further, which we'll talk about a little bit today. And we also have a community corner where we'll share things about each other to learn a little bit more, do a bit of networking. And of course, you can get all the replays and the courses in the program. So in the chat, there should be a link into that. So if you haven't joined that free community, do jump in there. It's definitely worthwhile jumping in there. Great. So our agenda for today is look at LinkedIn analytics and the two or three things that you should be thinking about when reviewing your LinkedIn analytics and why is it important. And then we're going to jump into a breakout room to share your thoughts on analytics and actually what you've seen that's worked well. So let's head over to LinkedIn without further ado. So in terms of finding your analytics, you will come into LinkedIn and find a kind of a feed that looks like this. This is your kind of classic feed with all these lovely posts, etc. And the simplest way to get there is to look on the left-hand side and look at your profile viewers and your post impressions, right? So if you click on this, it's a dynamic link and it will take you into a screen that will look very much like this. So to start off with, you might want to look at who is actually viewing your profile. Why do we see this as important, by the way, gang? Is that if you actually think about this as a website, and you had 3,000 people going to your website, well, what would you want to happen with those 3,000 odd people if we look at this? And I'd certainly be wanting those 3,000 odd people to be converting. I'd actually want to be able to get a return on investment from those 3,000 people. So it does beg the question, is your profile actually generating you leads or getting downloads or getting people to take the next stage? Because if you look at how many people view your profile and you think, wow, there's 3,000 people there, but I got nothing from those 3,000, then is your profile doing enough to warrant a conversion? Or if you feel if the answer is no, you're not getting anything from it, well, if I go and open this in a new tab and show you my profile, and here we go. Maybe you should be thinking about, well, how do I get a return on investment from that traffic? So if I show you how we've set up, and we do a little bit of work upon this in terms of the profile optimization, but you can see very much right from the start, like a website landing page, we've got a big call to action, which is around helping people to audit their LinkedIn profile for free. What could be your big call to action? And then as you go down with the 3,000 people that are hitting your page, have you got enough stuff for them to trip up into? So for example, we've got a free LinkedIn profile audit as one of our feature section. We've got a subscribe to our LinkedIn newsletter with the button that helps people subscribe to our LinkedIn newsletter in the featured section. So the 3,000 odd people that hit this page, there's a good likelihood a percentage of them will go do our call to action. So if you're looking at this thinking, oh, actually, I haven't got a call to action, then that's one of the first things that I'd be thinking about doing is optimizing your profile for that traffic. Okay. So I love this. Now, the other thing that we can look at is also if you've got, then this is one of the reasons why you might want to upgrade your LinkedIn, is that you can then start to see who have we actually got here who is seeing our profile. And what can we do with this? So not only are we trying to get people who are seeing our profile to then take the next stage and convert to be an order or something, I can then proactively look at it and say, well, Marie here, who viewed my profile 11 minutes ago, well, would she be someone that maybe I can actually go, oh, thanks for linking at my profile and proactively reaching out? So the analytics really help me to go, okay, well, she looks cool. It looks like the right sort of person for me. Maybe I would, send her a quick message or be a little bit more covert than that, for example. And instead of just jumping straight in and giving her a message, maybe I'd go down and actually look at some of the content that she's recently put out. So an hour ago, she put out, so how resilient is your team? And she put out a lovely post in here. So it's a short 60-second video. And so I might go and have a quick read of it. And seeing that I'd be the only person commenting, she's seen my profile and now maybe I go and say, and sorry, Marie, if you're on here, by the way, because you may well be on here because it would make sense that you might kind of see my stuff and come onto it. But maybe I go and give an insightful badge on here. And I say to her, and I can say, thanks for sharing, Marie, love your, uh, I love your three simple questions. Now, obviously, you'd want to listen and watch the video, but by doing this, this gives me a like on her profile, so it's going to ping up as Richard has liked your profile, and also I've commented on her profile. And actually, if I could make that comment, have a question, so if I could watch this and then maybe say to her, "Well, actually, I really like this. What do you think about this?" Then I can have a bit more of a messaging exchange. So I go from just seeing that she's looked at my profile to now more than likely getting into a messaging conversation. And then that messaging conversation could lead to me inviting her along to have a LinkedIn profile audit. Because I could say, oh, by the way, I saw a couple of things that actually you could improve on your profile. Perhaps we could, perhaps I could share them with you. No worries if not, and then carry on the conversation. So you can see how if I'm only spending a small amount of time and I'm using the analytics as a powerful tool to be able to start a conversation, generate leads. So really, really cool here. The other thing that you can look at as well, you can see most of these are first degree connections, and then I get down to Peter here, who's a second degree connection, who follows me, but hasn't become a first degree connection. So I might then go onto his profile and check him out because if I'm not a first degree connection, then I can't proactively DM him, but he may be a follower. So if he's put his hand up enough to actually say they want to follow my content, well, then that's probably another good opportunity for me to go and reach out and message him and have a conversation, right? So I might go have a look at what Achilles is about, redefining business development, work out actually, is this the right type of person that I want to be connected with? And if I do, then I might go and press more, press connect, add a note, and I say, hi, Peter. How are things? Things. LinkedIn um, pinged up your profile as someone that would get from being connected to um, up in your world. So cool, right? So what I can do is basically use the kind of, and we have a few different connection methods, but one of them is the, hey, LinkedIn said we should be friends, so let's be friends type outreach. So, hi, Peter, how are things? LinkedIn pinged up your profile, someone that I would benefit from being connected to what's up in your world, right? So it sounds a little bit more like a, hey, that's like actually something that we could be mutual friends, right? And so now hopefully the conversation would develop. And the beauty is he was already following my profile. So this should again be an easy to achieve connection because I'm using the analytics. And so when you only think that you've got 100 connection requests a week and you start to use some of these tools, well, that would be great. Now, here's the thing with connection requests. If you get a higher percentage of people who accept the connection request that you put out, then that puts the trust of your profile up, your SSI score, your social selling index score goes up. And then if the social selling index goes up, then you can push your connection request from about 100 to about 130, 140. You actually can get a higher volume by being more trusted. And how do you know what the measurements are for that? Well, if you Google LinkedIn SSI score, you can start to see. So here you go. It's a free tool, by the way, guys. And if you just have to be logged into LinkedIn to use it, we talk about this a few times on this Sales Navigator. Sorry, on this LinkedIn for Breakfast. Hey, page not found. Hang on. Classic. So LinkedIn. No. What is it? So I think I should just be able to go. That's weird. The social selling index. How do I find my SSI score? So it should be on here. There you go. LinkedIn. So I'll put this in the chat. Here you go. There you go. So LinkedIn /sales /SSI. And if you jump into there, there's a full stop on the end of that. That shouldn't be. Yeah. So the full stop that I put on, that's incorrect. It just happened to be the full stop when the answer came up on Google. So the link that I shared in the chat just removed the full stop. And you see here, here's my social selling index. You can all get access to this, and you can then see where you are on the different compartments. So establishing your brand, find the right people, etc. So the find the right people here, this is the score around better people. Oh, hang on, is it more build relationships? Establish your personal brand. No, I think it's find the right people. So the idea of this is that the more people that you are connecting to and the percentage of people that are coming back and the caliber of those people, the better your SSI will be, and so the more trusted you'll be. So that's where that comes in. So you can start to see these scores and work out how trusted you are, what your schedule is, and also where you are in terms of people in your network and people in your industry. So this is a really nice way of kind of giving yourself a barometer of how this is working. Mm. Good. So you can see, you can just go through this and actually work out so who's been seeing and stuff. So people like this, so Thomas DeVos is someone that I used to network with ages ago. And he's seen my profile. Now he hasn't reached out to me and I haven't reached out to him in years. Um, Oh no, it looks like we have. Oh, look at that. Okay, cool. Okay, so he's then proactively come back to me around that. So actually, that's something that I need to go back to him on, which would be lovely. So it just goes to show you can start to see these people, and you go, "Oh, I haven't seen that person for ages," and then suddenly, boom, there's obviously a DM in my messaging ready to go. That was 22 hours ago, so clearly I haven't been able to clear those through. So yeah, really nice, really interesting, and hopefully you can see that there's some opportunity in that part. Interesting viewers, by the way, is here can help you get a job. So they're going to be recruiters. So that's probably not for me. Senior leaders with your job function, senior leaders in the industry works at a company you follow. So this is some interesting bits in here. I don't really follow many companies, I guess, but you can look at senior leaders in your industry and see who's actually coming in. And this would be quite interesting to see who it's pinged up as being a senior leader in my industry, which will tell you what does it actually see as being your industry and who does it see as being senior. And again, this will be down to SSI scores, caliber of person. You can see here voted top 40 global LinkedIn CEO. So if I can be connected to these people and actually start to network with these people, again, I'm going to start to be seen as being trusted, and I can then start to connect and message and be part of their world. So that's again quite an interesting little function that you can play with. Good. Okay. So now we want to see more analytics in here. So we can see if we just go back to my home and profile, let's go back and look at the other analytics. So for example, post impressions. So what we want to look at is the different things that are happening with our posts and actually what else can we see in terms of posts. So think, for example, post impressions. This should tell you how good your content's hitting. And if you're like me, where you're posting most days, actually, this is quite nice because you can start to see how the trends of the week goes. So, for example, when we do Mondays, where we do what we call our engagement creator, our polls, look, we get quite a lot of engagement on our Mondays. Similar if we go back here. So Thursdays, we'll be putting out the replay for this event tomorrow. And so we can start to see if we get some quite nice impressions. So then if I put that in for 28 days, you should be able to see what days seem to work well for you and do you have any spikes. So obviously I've had a really good day in terms of impression here because I had a really good piece of content, but mostly, and that's actually kind of spiking the way that you can see things. But you can see here Monday, little spike here. I bet that's a Monday as well. Yeah, look, a Monday there, and then a little spike on a Monday again. So you can actually see that the polls are the things that get me impressions and get people talking. And actually, if I put this down to 14 days so that big spike doesn't go in there, you should be able to see that a bit better. There you go. So this is a Monday here. So big spike there. And then this one will be a Monday again. So you can see, you know, what we call, what do we call as an engagement creator? So you spike the algorithm with something like a poll to get people to actually interact at the start of the week. Then your next post will do well based upon the reach of your last post. So on Tuesday, the post that we always put out is a promotional post to do with this event. So then that gets the nice spike. And then it starts to then work its way off until it hits the weekend. And then we need to give it another kind of, give it a good push again to get the reach up. So you want to start to think about, well, actually, how do your posts really help and get those reach? So that can work well. And then obviously you've got the top performing content. So you can start to see what performing content works well. And you can start to see the analytics of those posts as well. So again, that's a poll. This one's like a picture and connections and likes and posts. Again, this one's another poll in here. So you start to see what posts are top performing in that time. And actually, the nice thing I like here is you can look in the last year, and you can start to see things like impressions. And you see this one did really well 3 weeks ago, and then another one here. And you can see a lot of these are selfies, right? So my best performing posts is selfies with a bit of a statement, right? So this one was here. I paid 102 salaries today. This one here is me moaning about the nationalisation of the railways. This one is me moaning about paying council tax. You can see a theme here. I think I'm just a bit of a moaning Myrtle, really, aren't I? But it's a selfie with a point that then people can start to interact with, and then we get into some polls here. Me talking about dry January, etc. So you want to look at what works well on your analytics and double down on what works well. And don't just worry about impressions, which is the amount of times it gets shown to people, but you might also want to look at engagement. So actually, what's the most engaged post that you've got? So switch it to engagement. And again, does it follow the same route? Actually, it doesn't. Look, my second best most engaged here had not so much reach, right? Which is me talking about taking a moment to reflect. So this is me saying I paid 102 salaries. This is me celebrating something that's happened with work. This is me talking about quitting alcohol nearly 2 years ago. So actually interesting, the most impressions tend to be image-led content before we then start to get down. Sorry, the most engagement before we then get into polls. So it just goes to tell you, doesn't it? If you can get a nice image and a nice story that kind of analytics can really work, and you can then start to view the individual analytics from the posts. And what you should be doing, and take today as a good moment for this, it's a really good time to actually think what is working well on my content, and then next 3 weeks, just focus on those type of posts, blend them between polls and images or whatever it is, and just do that. And then see if you then upwards trend with the analytics. And when it starts to work well, so for example, here where we had a post that kind of was our best performing, if we look down here, profile views from this post, so 1,005, almost 1,500 people went from seeing that post to then viewing my profile. And as you know, my profile is geared up to get people to convert onto my value session. So that's going to have an actual return on investment for me. Not only that, I actually gained 51 followers from that one post. So that's a hugely important thing. So I'm gaining followers just from one post that did well. And then here's the other cool thing, which I love. This is link engagement, right? Which is the custom button that you have on your profile if you're using premium. So for me, I've got this view my newsletter or subscribe to my newsletter as the custom button that sits below my profile. And so with that custom button, can I show you? This is me here. Yeah, there you go. So my custom button here is view my profile. And why that's good is if I put out content, you can see here that button actually sits as a clickable button, which is one of the benefits of premium. And so when I did a post that did well and went viral, that button was prominent, and you can see from my analytics that that button was clicked 49 times, which means that that probably gave me, let's say half of those viewed my newsletter and then say half of those subscribed. It probably give me 25 odd leads of people who actually said, yes, they want to subscribe to my newsletter off the back of that. So that is super important. And these are people who have viewed my profile since this post. And again, I can run through the same lead generation methodology of going through these people, connecting with them, messaging them, and working them. So just working the numbers. So hopefully you're kind of following on a little bit this with me, maybe clicking on some of these buttons yourself, because these are really cool things to consider. Cool. Right. So I'm just going to make another couple of points before jumping into suggesting two things. One, I want to help you to review how your profile is set up. So I'm more than happy to do that and do that for free for you to go look at how you're actually running your profile, see if we can get some improvements for you. But two, also put it into breakout rooms and get you to share some of the ideas that you've had, or maybe things that you've seen today that you didn't realize was a thing. So look, let's go into here. So on my profile, you've got analytics. You can go see all analytics. And here are some cool things. You can start to see, well, actually, how many new newsletter subscribers did I get? So for me, they are leads. So there's 3 leads that I've got from there, but that's trending down. How many article views did I get from my newsletter? Again, if I didn't have a newsletter, I know it's only 3 leads, but in the last 7 days, that's 3 new leads and also 800 people that viewed it. So if I wasn't doing a LinkedIn newsletter, I'd miss all of that. All of that. Are you appearing in the search for appearances, and could you do anything about it? How many followers are you getting? Is that going up? You know, and then profile views and post impressions. So these are important analytics that you can play about with and have a look at. And then also you can start to see, well, are you sharing enough? Are you getting comments? You know, people who have actually commented on your stuff. Are you getting that, right? And are you using things like the LinkedIn Live and newsletter and the follow link, etc. Right? Really cool. I think analytics is a window into what works on LinkedIn, and if you can kind of see that and understand that, then that will give you a guide on actually what you should be doing. Okay, so here's two things, and there's a few people that said about the breakout rooms and concerned about that. We do the breakout rooms that are big enough for people to be able to just listen to the conversation as well. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can do. So before we open up the breakout rooms and talk about analytics and what you've seen, I just wanted to draw your attention to some time that we put aside each week for people who want us to actually review their LinkedIn profile, give you some ideas on what works and what we feel could be an improvement. And it's totally free, no obligation. We will, if you're interested, tell you a little bit more about what we do within our client group, but only if you're interested. You'll see here they're not unlimited at all. It's a one-to-one LinkedIn profile. In it, we're going to look at your banner, your image, your features section, your about section. Are you writing your profile like a CV or a sales letter? If you're unsure on anything and you want to double check, I would jump into that. Look, there's only one session left this month. Is there only one session at all? Look, three sessions, guys, so be quick. So we got one session on Monday at 3 p.m. UK time. So depending on where you are in the world, that will change. And then only two sessions on Tuesday. So if you haven't done this and you want to go have someone to go through exactly how your profile should be set up, there's three opportunities there. Be quick because they go. If you do not get in there fast enough, then please just type in waiting list into the chat, or if there's not a session on there that works for you time wise, write waiting list into the chat and Flora can sort you out with that. But do jump onto there quickly if you want to have a free profile audit. Okay, so we're going to jump into breakout rooms. I'm just going to do say two to three breakout rooms. Just go into the rooms and just share with each other what do we see as being potentially the the things that you thought were interesting from the analytics side and what are you doing about it. So we're just going to put it into there just for 5 minutes. I'm going to come back in, share a few ideas, and then we'll close for today. Okay, going to sign those breakout rooms now. So just accept it and jump into it. Okay. Okay, guys. So we're working our way back in from the breakout room. So we're having a few people. I can see that people are still chatting away in room two. So I'm sure in a second, in 30 seconds, that room will close, and so they'll be back in. So that's cool. So we had the question about the newsletter and how long should that take. Any other questions that we might have had from our breakout room that we could ask? Was there another one? Justin, were you about to ask a question? Nope. No. Okay, good stuff. Welcome room two back. Just double checking. I think we've got 2 seconds because in 6 seconds it's going to filter through. Lovely, good stuff. Okay, so we're back in. So welcome back, guys, from the breakout. So we just want to come back in, share any kind of interesting bits that we heard in the breakout room and any questions, and then we'll get further questions and close for today. Just before we do, just remember. If you have not booked your LinkedIn profile audit, just a final kind of nudge for anybody who hasn't done that. Thank you guys, by the way, for the ones that have. So let me just copy and paste this back into the chat in here. So that is in the room there. So if you haven't booked in your free LinkedIn profile audit, where we'll go on and we'll look at all the different elements that will make up a perfect LinkedIn profile. I can see now it's going straight to July. That means that the one in June has already gone. So there's only a couple of those left. So do jump onto those profile audits for you. Lovely. Okay. So, Francisco, you had a question.
Yeah, it's regarding the SSI score because actually I've been looking into that for the last month, and it's quite jumpy.
Yes.
So sometimes I'm very high and trying to understand which is a trend, meaning what event triggered or untriggered, let's say the metrics. And I couldn't find a pattern, if you may, yet. So it's like should I keep paying attention to that or just have it there like as a kind of a thermometer, if you may? It might be or might be not, but actually just to keep me on track on what I'm doing. Because if I
I
cannot pinpoint exactly to something that actually will trigger the
Yeah,
the
and there's a
scores.
lag as well. So that
All
so
right.
it might be something that didn't happen that week, or it might just be a percentage of people that are not accepting connection requests that week versus another week. So what I would say is probably more like a check at max every fortnight, probably monthly, and a lot of people who come along to these regularly, these LinkedIn breakfast meetings, the amount of times that I kind of bring it up, which is probably once a month, once every sort of 3 to 4 sessions, if that makes you go, oh yeah, okay, I'll quickly see where I am, and you make a little note of it, that's probably enough to see what your trend is, because you just
All
want the
right.
trend to be going up. And also it will tell you if you've done something really bad. Like for example, if you are overusing automation or your profile's in bad standing for whatever reason and you've completely fallen through the floor, then that's a good trigger for you to kind of have a look at it. But if you, like me, are using automation and are kind of using lots of the different tools and you are still solid and it's all working all right, then that's also a nice warm comfort blanket to tell you that
Mm,
everything's going okay. So,
right.
so that's good. Um,
Thank you.
cool. Just want to get some feedback from the breakout room. So one of the questions we had in our breakout room was around the LinkedIn newsletter and actually how often should you publish LinkedIn newsletters and actually how much time should it take to be able to do it? So when you think about LinkedIn newsletters, and we love it, there's a session on LinkedIn for Breakfast about the newsletter. We think it's a really important part of LinkedIn. We would say publish one weekly and it's an article. So it doesn't need to be like a new classic newsletter with three or four different articles and any particular layout to it or whatever. It's just using a LinkedIn article and then using the newsletter function to distribute it. And the beauty of that distribution is that LinkedIn actually sends it as an email out to all of your subscribers, which is super cool, right? So you don't have to even worry about the email stuff, which in a world where your DMARC and SK whatever's and your domain authority is so tricky, actually it's quite nice to know that all of that's handled by LinkedIn for the LinkedIn newsletter. So that's why we really like it. In terms of time to do it, I think you could easily put together a little bit of a rant, a few different ideas. I do voice notes. And so, for example, the one that did really well, that was me on a train, the first day of the nationalisation of the Southwest trains, I was on the train and it was delayed by 2 hours. So that was me ranting about it. And that was a voice note on the actual train that went into my ChatGPT. My ChatGPT gave me an article and then I pushed that out as a LinkedIn newsletter whilst on the train. So it can be that quick and easy just to do it. But obviously, you want to make sure it's your authentic voice, which is why I love, by the way, is if you can give ChatGPT a voice note of your outline of what you want to say and why you are feeling the way that you are, get it to then make that into an article, then you give it a heavy edit, it then is your voice and it's just spelt properly. Because if I was doing it normally here, I'd spell it wrong. And so that's how I optimize that side of things. So think about that. And then of course the beauty of it, the picture is just me on the train packed out for 2 hours waiting. So again, the image you can normally grab if it's done in the moment as a really interesting image, which does well because Erin in our breakout room said how much the image, what her aha moment was around the image really does matter. The photo that you have with your post really does matter. And so if you can get a good post with a nice photo, that will be the one that will really help in terms of that engagement. Cool. Further questions or give us something from group two, from room two. What was that? What was the feedback from room two? Any kind of interesting shares? The room that I wasn't in.
That was from my side. I was SSI.
The SSI side.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Any other interesting shares from room two, Flora?
Hi, Richard. Yeah, it's
Right.
Flora. So I share with the room that I do look at analytics a bit, and sometimes I try to base my future posts on the ones that perform better, um, but they don't perform as good as the others. So sometimes I think it's totally random. So I try to tweak the way I talk to the audience or the message I'm trying to deliver. I notice as well that the more personal things actually work better than me sharing articles about what's going on in my investment area or why people should invest in the Northeast or any of my last deals. Maybe people relate more, so I'm still trying to figure out how to talk to my audience essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think you're doing the when you've got an audience that's starting to actually engage with your personal type of posts, what you want to do is you want to bring them on a journey back to your content, if you see what I mean. So you do a post and it's like, hey, look, I just picked up a new puppy. Here's the lovely puppy. And of course, everybody's like, dogs, cats, wah, boom, the whole internet blows up. And so then you then start to go, well, actually, here's the narrative. How do I then start to move that into me talking about my topic? And so one way, say it was a new puppy, is, oh, here's me taking the puppy out for the first walk, for its first walk. And so as I'm walking, I thought, well, one thing I could do is maybe share a couple of ideas of what I'm working on this week, right? You start with puppy, you go for walk, you transition into some worky stuff, light touch, and then before you know it, and this is one of our $1 million sprinters, Nino, who does really well. He's also one of the mentors for the ChatGPT stuff. He just walks each day. He does his normal walk around his little circuit, and he'll talk about AI on his walk. It's like the least tech in the world. It's like green and space, and he's got his big beard and he's chatting away. He's really quite funny with it. We love him. But he's talking about tech and AI and stuff that's happening, and it does well. It does really well. He wins deals off the back of it because he's just in that creative space. So you can use that as the narrative maybe that works along. So it could be similar with people who love like interiors and their interior personal stuff went really well, and then suddenly then you think, well, actually, what could work well? Well, let's make sure that some of my shots when I'm talking about work are in really nice interior type spots and and link your kind of content back to that piece maybe. So yeah, really, really cool. Um, Does that help? Yeah, wicked. Good stuff, Laura. Okay, guys. Well, look, I'm happy to open up the agenda if anybody's got any further questions for us today or anything that they'd like to add. Erin, we can get you the link to Nino. So he's in the MDS members group. Flora's in my Flora. Could you get Erin the link across to Erin for me for Nino and do the intro because it's a great little video. Further questions? Okay, guys. Okay, well, look, thank you all for jumping in today. $1 Million Sprinters, I'll see you in 7 minutes for the 3 o'clock UK time, dropping clinic. And in the interim, oh, Bafna, look at that. Look at that thumbs up. Did everybody else see that? I love the automated animated thumbs up we get these days, where you can do, have you seen them float up? Look at this. Floating up thumbs. Love it. In the meantime, though, I'll see you guys on the LinkedIn profile audit if you haven't already booked one, or next week at 2 p.m. UK time for another LinkedIn breakfast. Cheers, all. See you on the flip side. Bye.